stop looking at your scalp for a moment. Put down the mirror, put down the comb, and really listen to what I am about to tell you. The hair you see circling the drain every morning is not a cosmetic accident. It is not just bad luck, and it is certainly not just getting old. That shedding is a biological receipt. It is a direct, flashing red warning light on your body's dashboard telling you that a vital internal system is failing to do its job. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It operates on a strict hierarchy of survival. It knows that you can live without a full head of hair, but you cannot survive without a functioning liver. You cannot survive without a healthy thyroid, and you cannot survive if your kidneys are overwhelmed. So, what happens when one of these critical engines begins to sputter? Your body makes a calculated survivalist decision. It initiates a triage protocol. It cuts the power supply to the luxury items, your hair, your nails, your skin, so that it can divert every ounce of energy to keeping your heart beating and your blood cleaning itself. You are not just going bald. You are witnessing a systemic power failure. The hair loss is merely the symptom. The organ distress is the disease. I know how heavy that hits. I know the feeling of looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger staring back, a version of yourself that looks tired, depleted, and older than you feel inside. It is frightening because for years, we have been told that hair loss is genetic, that it is inevitable, and that our only options are expensive surgeries or chemicals with harsh side effects. But I want you to take a deep breath and shift your perspective right now. If your hair loss is a warning sign, that is actually good news. It means your body is communicating with you. And because it is a signal, it means we can decode it. We can trace the wire from the flickering light bulb on your scalp back to the fuse box that is blown deep inside your body. In this conversation, we are going to do exactly that. We are going to walk through the specific internal organs that are likely misfiring and causing this energy crisis. We aren't going to guess. We are going to look at the hard science, the biochemistry, and the specific nutritional protocols that can repair these systems. We are going to turn that dashboard light off, not by smashing the bulb, but by fixing the engine. By the end of this, you will have a clear, actionable roadmap to rebuild your health from the inside out. Before we dive into the biology of your scalp, I have a request. If you are ready to stop treating symptoms and start healing the root cause with the kind of deep dive health information that most doctors simply don't have the time to explain, consider subscribing to our community right here. We are building a space for people who refuse to accept decline as a default setting. And I am genuinely curious, where in the world are you tuning in from today? Drop your city or country in the comments. It is always humbling to see how far this message travels. Let's begin our tour of your internal systems with the master controller, the organ that sets the pace for every single cell in your body, the thyroid gland. You might be thinking, I've had my blood work done and my doctor said my numbers are normal. I need you to set that word normal aside for a moment. In the medical world, normal is a statistical average of a largely unhealthy population. It does not mean optimal. Your thyroid is the thermostat of your body. It dictates the metabolic rate, the speed at which your cells create energy. Now, consider your hair follicles. The cells in your hair root, the matrix cells, are the second fastest dividing cells in your entire body, right behind your bone marrow. This means they have a voracious appetite for energy. They need a constant high voltage power supply to keep dividing and producing hair fiber. If your thyroid is even slightly sluggish, a condition we call subclinical hypothyroidism, your body enters an energy conservation mode. It looks at the energy bill and says, we cannot afford to run the hair factory today. Shut it down. This isn't just a theory. A pivotal study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism analyzed the relationship between thyroid hormones and hair density in thousands of patients. The researchers found that T4 and T3 hormones are directly responsible for prolonging the anagen phase, which is the growth phase of the hair cycle. When these hormone levels dip, even within the so-called normal range, the hair follicle is forced prematurely into the telogen or resting phase. The result is diffuse thinning. You don't just lose hair at the temples, you lose density everywhere, like a forest that is slowly drying out. But here is the why that matters to you. The thyroid doesn't just work on its own. It relies on a conversion process. Your gland produces mostly T4, which is the inactive form of the hormone. It has to be converted into T3, the active form, to actually do any good. This conversion happens largely in the liver and the gut, and it requires specific raw materials, specifically selenium. Our modern soil is dangerously depleted of selenium, meaning our food is too. Without selenium, you have plenty of fuel, but no spark. So, how do we fix this transmission line? We need to use food as medicine. The actionable takeaway here is remarkably simple but potent. Brazil nuts. These nuts are the richest natural source of selenium on the planet. You don't need a handful. In fact, a handful is too much because selenium can be toxic in high doses. You need exactly 2 Brazil nuts per day. Think of them as a biological prescription. By eating 2 of these nuts daily, you provide the precise amount of raw material your enzymes need to convert that inactive hormone into the active form that wakes up your hair follicles. Swap your morning biscuit or afternoon snack for 2 Brazil nuts. It is a small change, but it restarts the engine. Now, let's travel down from the neck to the engine room of your body. If the thyroid is the thermostat, this next system is the root system of the tree. We have to talk about your gut microbiome. There is an old saying in medicine that death begins in the colon, but I prefer to say that life begins in the gut. You have probably heard the phrase, you are what you eat. As a mentor, I have to correct that. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. You could be eating the most expensive, organic, nutrient-dense diet in the world, but if your gut lining is compromised, if you have what we call intestinal permeability or leaky gut, those nutrients are passing right through you. Worse, undigested food particles can slip into your bloodstream, triggering massive systemic inflammation. The connection between gut health and hair loss is undeniable and profound. Your gut bacteria are responsible for producing biotin, folic acid, and vitamin K. 2, they also regulate the absorption of zinc and iron, which are the literal building blocks of hair fiber. If your gut is a mess, your hair starves. There was a fascinating piece of research published in the International Journal of Trichology that looked at patients with alopecia areata and other forms of hair shedding. They found that a staggering percentage of these patients had significant alterations in their gut flora dysbiosis, where the bad bacteria outnumbered the good. Even more shocking, they found a strong correlation between Helicobacter pylori infection in the stomach and the severity of hair loss. The study concluded that the inflammation starting in your gut sends distress signals system-wide, causing the immune system to become confused and potentially attack the hair follicle. Think of your gut like the soil in a garden. If the soil is rocky, dry, and devoid of nutrients, it doesn't matter how much water or sunshine the plant gets, the leaves will turn brown and fall off. Your hair is the plant, your gut is the soil. To rehabilitate your soil, we need to focus on sealing the gut lining and reducing that inflammation. We need to patch the holes in the net so you can actually catch the nutrients you eat. The most powerful tool for this is bone broth. This isn't just a trendy soup, it is an ancient healing elixir. Bone broth is rich in collagen, gelatin, and specific amino acids like glutamine and glycine. These compounds act like mortar for the bricks of your gut wall. They literally seal up the gaps in the lining. The actionable step here is to incorporate 1 cup of warm, high-quality bone broth into your daily routine. You can make it yourself or buy a high-quality organic version. Have it in place of a second coffee or as a soothing evening ritual. It calms the inflammation and signals to your body that it is safe to switch out of defense mode and back into growth mode. Moving through the body, we encounter the organ that takes the biggest beating in our modern world, and its silent failure is a massive driver of hair loss in both men and women, the liver. In traditional medicine, the liver is often called the general of the body because it commands the flow of energy and blood. In modern physiology, it is your primary filtration plant. It filters blood, removes toxins, and critically for your hair, it metabolizes hormones. This is where the hair loss connection gets deep. One of the main drivers of hair loss is an excess of dihydrotestosterone, DHT, or an imbalance of estrogen. Once your body uses these hormones, they are sent to the liver to be broken down and excreted. But if your liver is fatty, sluggish, We're overwhelmed by processing alcohol, high fructose corn syrup, and environmental toxins. It cannot do this job efficiently. When the liver gets backed up, those hormones don't just disappear, they recirculate, they build up in the bloodstream, becoming more potent and toxic to the hair follicle. A study from the World Journal of Gastroenterology established a frighteningly clear link between non alcoholic fatty liver disease and early onset androgenetic alopecia. The researchers found that the metabolic stress of a fatty liver creates a backlog of inflammatory markers that target the hair follicle. It is a domino effect. The liver gets clogged with fat, the hormones back up, and the hair falls out. Imagine your liver is the drain in your kitchen sink. If you pour grease and debris down, it all day processed foods, sugars, seed oils, eventually it clogs. When the water can't drain, the sink overflows. That overflow in your body manifests as skin issues and hair loss. We need to unclog the drain. The most effective way to support liver detoxification isn't a fancy juice cleanse, it's bitter foods. Specifically, we want to introduce cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and kale. These vegetables contain a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is magical because it activates the liver's phase 2 detoxification enzymes. It helps the liver package up those toxins and spent hormones and flush them out of the body. The actionable advice here is to add a side of steamed broccoli or a kale salad to your dinner at least 3 times a week. If you find the taste difficult, try broccoli sprouts. They are up to 100 times more potent than the mature vegetable. You are giving your janitorial staff the heavy duty cleaners they need to scrub the system clean. If you are finding these connections between your organs and your hair helpful, please take a second to hit that thumbs up button. It helps us get this vital health information to more seniors who are struggling in silence. We have to move on to a system that affects almost everyone over the age of 50. And it is perhaps the most dangerous silent killer of hair: insulin resistance and the pancreas. You might be thinking, I'm not diabetic, so this doesn't apply to me. Please listen closely. You do not need to be a diabetic to have a problem here. If you carry a spare tire around your waist, or if you get sleepy after a carbohydrate heavy meal, you likely have elevated insulin levels. Insulin is a hormone that manages blood sugar, but when it is chronically high, it does something terrible to hair. First, high insulin increases the activity of an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. This is the enzyme that converts testosterone into that hair-killing DHT. High insulin literally accelerates the balding process. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, high blood sugar causes a process called glycation. Glycation is where sugar molecules in your blood bind to proteins and fats, making them stiff and malformed. The tiny blood vessels, the microcapillaries that feed your hair follicles, are made of protein. When they become glycated, they lose their elasticity. They become like rigid, rusty pipes. Blood cannot flow through them effectively to reach the follicle. A landmark study in The Lancet showed a significant association between markers of insulin resistance and the severity of male pattern baldness. The study posited that the micro-vascular damage caused by high sugar levels literally starves the hair root of oxygen. The root suffocates and the hair falls out. The fix for this is the single most effective thing you can do for your overall longevity, not just your hair. You need to shorten your eating window. We call this time-restricted eating. You don't have to go extreme. Simply stop eating at 7 p.m. and don't eat breakfast until 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. That one 4-hour break allows your insulin levels to drop to baseline. When insulin drops, the inflammation subsides and your blood vessels open back up. To supercharge this, I want to give you a specific nutritional tool: apple cider vinegar. Taking 1 tablespoon of organic apple cider vinegar in a tall glass of water before your biggest meal has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity significantly. It acts like a traffic controller, helping your muscles absorb the sugar from your meal so it doesn't linger in your blood to damage your vessels. It is cheap, it is effective, and it protects your microcirculation. Next, we need to address the stress battery of your body: the adrenal glands and the kidneys. In traditional Chinese medicine, the kidneys are considered the reservoir of Jing or vital essence. They say that the health of the hair is the flowering of the kidney energy. Interestingly, modern science backs this up through the study of cortisol. When you are under chronic stress, whether it's pain, financial worry, or health anxiety, your adrenal glands, which sit like little hats on top of your kidneys, pump out cortisol. Cortisol is a survival hormone. It is catabolic, meaning it breaks things down to release energy. It breaks down collagen, which is why stressed people get wrinkles, and it breaks down the proteins in your hair. But it goes deeper. Cortisol signals the hair follicle to shift into the shedding phase because, again, in a fight or flight situation, growing a mane of hair is not a priority. Your body thinks it is running from a tiger. It doesn't care if you look good, it cares if you survive. A study published in the journal Stem Cell actually utilized mice to show that chronic stress and elevated cortisol keep the hair follicle stem cells in a dormant state. The stress hormone prevents the cells from regenerating. Essentially, stress puts a padlock on the door of the hair factory. We cannot eliminate stress from life, especially as we navigate the challenges of aging, but we can change how our body reacts to it. To pick this lock, we need to replenish the minerals that stress depletes. The adrenal glands have the highest concentration of vitamin C in the entire body. They burn through it rapidly when you are stressed. If you are deficient, your adrenals burn out, leading to fatigue and hair loss. The actionable takeaway here is to target vitamin C rich foods, not synthetic ascorbic acid from a fizzy tablet, but whole foods. 2 kiwi fruits or 1 red bell pepper contain more bioavailable vitamin C than an orange and almost enough to saturate your adrenal stores. Eat 1 red bell pepper or 2 kiwis a day. It's a delicious way to tell your kidneys, it's okay, we are safe. Let's flow into the final system, which is all about logistics, the circulatory system, specifically the microcirculation of the scalp. You can have the best nutrients in your blood, the perfect hormonal balance, and a gut of steel. But if the roads to the destination are blocked, the delivery truck never arrives. The scalp is the highest point of your body. Gravity is working against it every second of the day. As we age, our microcapillaries tend to calcify or become rigid, often due to a lack of nitric oxide, a gas that relaxes blood vessels and allows blood to flow freely. If you touch your scalp right now, does it feel tight? Is the skin thin and plastered to the skull? That is a sign of poor circulation and calcification. This creates a tight scalp environment where the hair follicles are literally being choked. Research in the journal Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery has shown that increasing subcutaneous blood flow directly stimulates hair growth. This is actually how the drug minoxidil works. It is a vasodilator, but we can achieve vasodilation naturally and mechanically. The actionable advice here is twofold. First, we need to eat foods high in nitrates that convert to nitric oxide. The superstar here is the humble beet. Adding a small glass of beetroot juice or a roasted beet salad to your weekly rotation opens up the blood vessels. But the second part is mechanical. Scalp massage. I know it sounds too simple to be true, but physically massaging your scalp for 4 minutes a day has been shown to increase hair thickness by stretching the cells of hair follicles. This mechanical stretching changes the gene expression in the dermal papilla cells. You don't need fancy tools. While you are watching TV, use your fingertips, not your nails, to firmly move the skin of your scalp over the skull. You aren't rubbing the hair, you are moving the scalp. Imagine you are kneading dough. You want to bring warmth and life back to the area. You are physically forcing blood into those starving capillaries. We have covered a massive amount of ground today, effectively touring the entire interior of your body. Let's recap because I want you to walk away with a clear plan. We learned that hair loss is a sign of internal organ distress, not just bad luck. We talked about feeding your thyroid with 2 Brazil nuts a day to keep the energy high. We discussed healing your gut with bone broth to stop inflammation and patch the leaks. We looked at unclogging the liver with cruciferous vegetables like broccoli to clear out the hormonal backlog. We addressed the pancreas and insulin by shortening your eating window and using apple cider vinegar to stop the sugar glaze on your vessels. We soothe the adrenals with vitamin C, from kiwis to lower the stress hormone cortisol. And finally, we maximize circulation with simple scalp massage and beats. These aren't just tips, they are a lifestyle protocol for vitality. When you start doing these things, your hair might be the last thing to improve. That's normal. The body heals the vital organs first. First, you'll notice you have more energy. Then, your skin will look better. You'll sleep deeper. Your digestion will settle. And then, usually around the 3 to 6 month mark, you will look in the mirror and see baby hairs sprouting where there was once only skin. That is the ultimate victory. It signifies that your body is so abundant with health and energy that it can afford to grow hair again. You have the control here. Getting older involves changes, yes, but declining into frailty and losing your vitality is not inevitable. It is a choice we make with every meal and every habit. You are fighting for your independence and your confidence, and that is a fight worth winning. I have one final question for you to ponder and answer in the comments below. Which of these internal engines do you suspect is your weak link? Is it the stress and the kidneys, or maybe the sugar and the pancreas? Let me know, because I read the comments and it helps me tailor future videos to exactly what you need. If this video gave you a new perspective on your health, please like and subscribe, not for my vanity, but because your health is worth fighting for, and we are in this fight together. Until next time, take care of your organs, and your hair will take care of itself.